of us would love to hear the audible voice of God, or to see the writing on the wall directing us and showing us his plans for our lives. But very few of us will ever have that experience of hearing God's call in that way.
Hearing and understanding God's call is something we as Christians are faced with. So here are some people from across Bath and Wells sharing how they have heard and understood God's call for their life.
So I was asked, what helped you to understand your call? Well, it's very straightforward, really. I didn't come from a church-going family, but nonetheless, I was sent to Sunday school and to church, and understanding my call came from our curate, a spiritual, godly, thoughtful, caring man who prepared me for confirmation and encouraged me to think about ministry, and bless him for all his support to me as a teenager.
I believe that to understand my call is all about where I live and what I do. Here on the farm, it's a huge, huge privilege to be able to share everything that we have here with everybody around us. We love having people to the farm. We open the gate to all sorts of groups and organisations so that they can also have a slice of God's creation, to see life, to see death, to appreciate the spring and the autumn and all seasons. So the kitchen door is never closed, and I feel God has given us this huge gift of the place that we live, the farm that we farm, so that it's here for everybody to appreciate, and that's really, really special to us.
To make God happy, I thought it could be okay to join the Poppy mascot because of all the people who fighted in the war.
One of the things that helped me understand my call was spending time reflecting and writing in my journal all my questions, doubts, hopes, and checking where this sense of calling was coming from. Over time, and often through circumstances, it became clearer what it was God was calling me to.
My sense of call to healing has evolved over time. At primary school, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, and that never really went away. Once I was a GP, I found I wanted to have more to offer to people when conventional medicine didn't solve every problem. And conversations and teaching were all part of that. Later on, it became a call to priesthood. But now all these strands seem woven together in the call to bring Christ's healing in whatever way I can.
What helps us to understand our call has been our eyes and our ears. Long before I knew any pioneer lingo, my wife and I watched those new to faith struggling to adapt to a new culture as they tried out church. It started questions for us about how best to be church. Then God spoke to us through a series of visions and dreams and messages. He made it very clear that he wanted us to be pioneering in Taunton, exploring what it means to be church among the unchurched.
One of the most important things for me in understanding my call was actually having the opportunity to give things a go before I knew whether I was actually going to be any good at them or whether I would even enjoy them. It started when I was a teenager, and my church let me lead services and preach. And then later on, they offered me a chance to lead a youth group. And then when I became a school teacher, the school let me have a go at being a chaplain. Basically, over the years, I've learnt on the job. I've learnt with a support network around me to help and encourage me, to help pick me up when things go wrong. And without that experience, I wouldn't be where I am now. And nor would I have ever heard God's call on my life.
My understanding of God's call came the moment I said yes, because I placed my trust wholly in him, and God's Holy Spirit showed me step by step what my life should be. He led me into nursing, and then 40 years as a Salvation Army officer, a minister, a pastor, an emergency worker. And then in retirement, I became a foundation governor for our local church school. But every day, as a wife, as a mother, as a grandmother, I'm living out God's call, and I trust him to help me understand what that should be.
God calls everyone everywhere.
There are so many different stories and experiences of people hearing and responding to God's call.
So what is your experience? Have you ever heard God's call?